Hey everybody, this is Dan with Pain Free You. Today I have the pleasure of bringing you Yotam from Israel. And Yotam decided to share their success story with me. And I'm always glad to do that. So, Yotam, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself and feel free to start telling us a little bit of a story as to, your journey through chronic pain or other chronic conditions, and we'll take it from there. Appreciate you showing up.
Thank you. Appreciate you. So my name is Yotam. I'm from Israel. I'm 24 years old. Um, and I had sort of, I guess, two main TMS stories. And I'll start, I think, with the second one, and then we'll go back to the first, which I healed in the past few months. Um, So as a kid, I actually lived in California when I was younger. From 2005, I think we moved to California, and then in 2009 we moved to Argentina,
Mhm.
and then in 2012 we moved back to Israel. So I had like lots of moving, lots of different places where I lived and had to cope with all kinds of stuff. And all right, I'll start with the second one. So I had a pain uh, that started. I'm a musician. I'm a singer, a singer-songwriter. I've been doing that since I was like um, 8 years old, playing, and then I started singing when I was in seventh grade. And I started when I was 21, I think, 21. I started having um, uh, this like kind of, I guess, maybe a stinging pain that started between the bones of the back of my wrist. Um, and that was at a time where I was really invested into my guitar playing. I knew that I wanted to be a professional musician at that time, and I wanted to get as good as I can at guitar. And so I could best express myself through what I like. I wanted to, express myself the best way I could. So I had to be the best at what I was doing. And I was taking lessons with an incredible guitar player here, and I was getting better, and it was fun, and I was really enthusiastic about it. And I started getting this stinging pain that started here, and at that time I played like maybe 6 hours a day, something like that. And I said, oh, maybe I'm playing too much. It was also winter. I was playing outside a lot. It was kind of cold. Um, and I took a break for a week, and I didn't play at all. And after a week, I tried playing again, and it was a tiny bit better. But like this, I still felt the pain here. It was in my left hand, which the fretting
Sure.
hand. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll have to see what this is. And I kind of just like let time go by. I think it was a few weeks that I tried putting on, what's it called? Like this kind of ointment.
Mhm.
Um, Anyways, it's supposed to like, loosen the muscles up a bit. And it didn't really relieve my pain. And it kind of came back and like maybe a bit worse or around the same. And it started eventually during those weeks and eventually months, it started going down to my wrist. I started to feel it here a lot. Like, and it persisted here. It just started to, um, to expand. And then I think once started going into my upper forearms, it jumped to my other arm, like my other hand. So I was like, oh, if the explanation for the pain is that I'm fretting too hard or I'm doing this, I'm using my forearm muscles while I'm playing, 6 hours a day, then how come it's the exact same pain on my right hand, which
Yeah.
is doing a different kind of strumming technique,
Yes.
you know?
Totally different.
Um, yeah, and so that was kind of it was annoying because you kind of want to know what's going on with you. And I went to a doctor, and he gave me another like ointment or a cream, which didn't help. Um, this was after like a month and a half, I think. And then I started, Googling everything I could about it.
Right.
I couldn't find many answers to what was going on with me, and I didn't know if it was what's it called? Like the like thing, one of those things that causes you pain. What?
Tendonitis, carpal tunnel.
Yeah, I think it's like maybe carpal tunnel or kinds of. So I wasn't sure which one it is, which one it was, and I was really confused, and I couldn't really play guitar anymore. I kind of suddenly stopped, and this was
Wow.
like at the height of my enthusiasm and commitment to getting better at guitar, and it was really I don't know if depressing is the word, but it
Sure.
was harsh and very demotivating. And after 5 months of this, well, it got just worse. It started going down and traveling, and I was all day like going like this, trying to massage my forearm muscles. I kind of had to like go limp a lot of the time. I didn't want to like whatever movement I did with my arms was kind of painful, like every tiny thing. So I kind of just ended up, just like leaving them.
Sure.
Yeah. So and uh and I
So,
had stuff going like for me, I was supposed to start playing at a hotel and singing there, and I had to cancel that, and I didn't know what was going on. And after like 5.5 months, where it started to go up until my elbow, like right behind my elbow, I spoke with some friend of a friend. He told me, I know this guy who's a violin player, and he got rid of his chronic pain. Why don't you talk to him? And so I had an hour conversation with him, and it was basically when I got to know about Dr. Sarno.
awesome.
And most of the talk was about how uh, he had kind of a holistic approach to this. Most of it was like, go read this book, like Healing Back Pain.
Mhm.
But also it was like, let it, I don't know, all kinds of holistic approaches, like to, I don't know, meditate and do all kinds of stuff, which if I would have followed that advice, I think I'm not sure if it would have been the best for me. If I would have done all kinds of other stuff, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so, and then I listened to 40 minutes of Healing Back Pain audiobook on YouTube, and then watched a vlog of some guy, I forget what his name was. He talked about his RSI and wrist pain and hand pain, and he's a painter, I think, and a musician or something. And I just started weeping. I started weeping like for a minute, um, because suddenly there was someone understood what I was going through, and someone had that same stuff, those same symptoms, and and there's a way out. Like it seemed like there's a way out,
Yep.
because it was a success story. And then I wrote down, I had a notebook next to me, and I wrote down like 2 whole pages of, like I said, I was in a good time. I was in a good place in my life, like socially. I don't know, things were going fine, and I had no idea why. If like if this is an emotional thing, if it's originally an emotional thing, then what could have caused this? So I said, I'll write down whatever is going on, maybe whatever might be going on in my subconscious brain. And so I wrote down all those like little things that maybe I'm going through, but I don't feel like I'm going through them. But I'm like, okay. And then I filled 2 whole pages of um, of stuff that I never knew I was dealing with on a conscious level. So it was, I have to be the best guitar player ever
Yep.
uh, because if I'm not going to be able to express myself fully on the guitar, nobody else will be able to do what I ask them when I'm going to record my music. If I want to be successful and have a family by age 32, I have to get out my first 2 albums by age 29. If I want to do that, I have to be this good at doing this stuff by age 26. And I have to, and
Pressure, pressure, pressure. Yeah, that's it. I was thinking that before you said it, but yeah, absolutely. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. And so I had like a timeline where I had to do all these things and be this good by this time. And uh, like, I'm a kind of a perfectionist. Um, and so that really resonated with me when he spoke about perfectionism in the audiobook. And I felt, yeah, I just realized how much pressure I'm putting on myself. And also like I might never have a stable family because if I'm gonna be a rock star at this age, then how am I gonna be able like to be in a monogamous relationship? It was a thought that I was going through, like I want to be, and
This,
so I
but you
have
want
to,
this too. You want them both, and to
yeah.
together. And yeah.
So and I filled 2 whole pages of all these insecurities and different forms of anxieties that I had. Um, and then maybe then I started weeping. I'm not sure, but it was at some point in that hour. And then I picked up the guitar that was next to me and I played for a straight hour, like for a whole hour with pretty much no pain. So it was like it was a book here kind of a thing. Um,
Well, there was two
just
things. There was a realization that you're not broken. That's what Sarno brought to the table in this success story. So what happened was your fear came way down because you said there is a way to fix this. I can get over this. So your fear, as I refer to it, perceived danger, came from way up here to holy cow. And then what furthered that feeling of safety was I actually connected some dots to all of the self-imposed pressure I was putting on and some of the conflict between I'm not practicing enough and I need to practice more and all of this stuff. And I think that also gave you some concrete understanding that, okay, this stuff really makes sense. So your fear came down so considerably that you got well very fast. That's my interpretation from what you've shared with me, but that's beautiful. So keep going.
definitely, yeah, yeah. I feel like it was kind of a blessing that everything kind of fell into the right place all at this
Mhm.
particular hour of the day. Um, and so I was like, wow, I had to, and then I kind of went on to listen to the rest of the audiobook of Dr. Sarno. I sent it obviously to like everyone I knew that had some sort of pain, and I still do. And I also I kind of coach people every few weeks. I have a phone call with some random person. Anyways, so it kind of it pretty much completely went away, and I continued with my performing and singing, and I got back to playing, and everything's great. I just finished my first single. Anyways, things
Awesome.
are good in that, and that's my first success story. And the second one is actually of a pain that started when I was 14, I think. 14, yeah. We moved. Okay, I moved just before I turned 13. We moved back to Israel with my family. We were 2.5 years in Argentina. and I started doing capoeira. You know that? It's a martial art.
Not
Capoeira,
familiar.
it's a martial art. What? I couldn't hear you.
I'm not familiar with that specific one, but go ahead.
So it's a Brazilian martial art. It's like it involves acrobatics, all kinds of kicks, and it's kind of a dance. There's like music. It's very kind of a holistic, cool thing. Anyways, so I kind of I started it when I was in first grade, and I continued on to second grade. This was back when we were in California, and I stopped doing that. We moved to Argentina, and on my last year there in Argentina, I got back to capoeira, and it was a very intense year of training, and I was 12 back then, and I started training with like the older group because I was like very serious and very into it, and started doing flips and doing anyways. I was getting I was getting better, and it was really fun. It was kind of like a family for me. I was there a few times a week, and then we moved to Israel. And obviously, I didn't decide this. My parents decided to do that. And we moved to a small town, kind of far away from everything. And there was a guy who taught capoeira, like a different kind, um, who taught it here for like 8 months a year, who had was a Brazilian guy, and he left back to Brazil. And then I trained with him kind of one-on-one, like there was barely any students. It's a small town as well. And after he left, um, and because I was so into this martial art, and I love doing it, and it's kind of like it has music, it has acrobatics, it has, you know,
Sure.
fighting. It's kind of everything I love put together. And he like left. So the first time I got hit with the first, oh, we're leaving this amazing place that you love in Argentina, and we're gonna put you in a new country. You're gonna have to learn to speak the language, and oh, also we're gonna take away
Thing you love the most. Yeah.
the thing you love the most, like for the second time. So I had another teacher, but and then now you don't have it either. Um, and I remember I said, like back then I was kind of sad. But I was in eighth grade, I think. So, life goes on. I was coping socially as learning a new language, new culture, making new friends. It's kind of everything's going really um, hectic in that age.
Sure.
So, and then I said to myself, well, I don't have any like exercise that I'm doing or something like that. So I want to maybe go into like bodybuilding or, so I started doing calisthenics, like body weight training. And I remember this was a bit after he left, and I got my first TMS pain, which was when I was doing push-ups. I realized that even though I had perfect form, and all my like coaches and like in the gym, people said I have great form. For some reason, I was getting like a harsh pain here,
Mhm.
kind of like a stinging. Just whenever I put it, it would just want me to stop. It was right here,
Sure.
and when I would apply pressure in this way, that's when it would uh, trigger it. And so I had to like find a way around it. I started using weights, maybe bench press, so that way I don't have to like fold my arm this way.
Right.
And I had all kinds of ways to get around that. But still, it just never went away, and I had to like stop doing handstands, which is a big part of capoeira. I said wanted to get into acrobatics as well. Like I had friends who did some somersaults and flips and all kinds of stuff. I wanted to at least keep that, and I couldn't because I was so afraid of falling on my wrist,
Right.
and so I stopped that.
But,
And
but hold on, Tom, was this before the guitar experience and before the healing?
yes, the guitar
You didn't know
experience
about
was
Palermo at this point.
yeah. The guitar experience was when I was 21, and this was when I was 14.
Okay, gotcha. Keep going.
Um, and so I kind of lived my life. I was, I just kept going, and I didn't really do much. I tried jump roping. Um, I did all kinds of calisthenics, but I always had to get around this thing. Um, I started training with rings, but it never really healed. Plus, I also during that period, I went to, I think, six different medical professionals that tried to help me. I think the first one was an orthopedic surgeon,
Right.
which he kind of like told me, yeah, we'll just have to we can do a surgery, but it probably won't help. Um, I don't remember exactly what he told. He told me I was 14. This was years ago, but he was very um, nonchalant, like off, kind of like very dismissive of my pain. And he was like, "Yeah, we'll just do the surgery, and it'll be fine, but maybe not." And I'm like, "Well, will I be able to go back to doing what I want to do, is handstands?" And he was like, "I'm not sure, but maybe we should do the surgery then." It was really confusing and weird, and I was there with my parents, and we had no idea what to do, and we were like, okay, let's hold on a bit, and we'll see
Smart.
what happens. And then I tried physical physical therapy, and that didn't work. I think like maybe four different physical therapists. One of them also like kind of verbally gave up on me. Like she told me, listen, I have no idea what's going on with you, and I don't know what to do with you. And it's kind of this was a bit later in life, like when I think I was in my 20s. And this was very, because I was going into capoeira again. I wanted to start going back, and it was very depressing that like even like things were actually going well. She gave me these neck exercises to like pull my neck back and all kinds of stuff, and it started to help a bit. But then afterwards, it just didn't do anything. So like even what worked didn't end up working.
Right.
And what else? I tried uh, like electromagnetic pulses in
Hmm.
my hand. That didn't help. Um, yeah, I tried doing all these kinds of exercises like to make my wrist more flexible. That helped a bit. And then after a few weeks, suddenly same pain as always. Nothing seemed to help. And a year after my um, music pain, let's call it that, um, my mom asked me whether or not I think my wrist pain here has to do with TMS as well. Maybe it could also be something emotional. Um, and I started to look into that. She's also like a therapist, and
Hmm.
I so I was kind of skeptical, but I was what's it called? I had no other option. I was like, okay, let's look into that. Maybe it's that. With my Sorry, we're gonna say something?
Well, I was going to say, so you had this since you were 14 for doing push-ups. Um, that lasted and lasted and lasted. Then you had the guitar playing pains. You found Sarno, you resolved that, but you still didn't connect the dots with the push-up pain to the TMS or, the that stuff. So, all right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood the timeline. So,
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Um, this was, I think, when I was 22, maybe, yeah, like a year after I cured the other pain. And with my therapist, I started kind of going back, looking at pictures on Facebook of myself. Like I said, well, now that I know about TMS and how emotional pain could cause physical pain, what could I have been going through that could have triggered this emotional pain when I was 14? And then I I remembered that it happened after the capoeira teacher left.
Right.
Um, and so I had to find, yeah.
Oh,
And so that, yeah. And so I had to find some new form of exercise, some new hobby. And I realized that um, this was such an integral part of my life. And this was something that I really dreamed of being good at. And, I wanted to become a teacher. I wanted to teach it as well. I started doing flips and all kinds of crazy kicks. And this was one of my dreams to do that. And the fact that I just felt like I was taken out of uh, with my roots out and just placed in another small town. And then taking being like they took that away from me as well. I was like, wow. And I had no idea I had to cope with all that while I'm learning a new language and coping with being a 14-year
teenager.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, I kind of did this kind of inner child exercise with my therapist. We kind of imagined uh, my earlier self and what I would tell him and what would he feel, and I tried like imagining that, and I ended up kind of after that session I like cried for like half an hour. Suddenly lots of suppressed repressed emotions suddenly came out of me through my imagining.
It's awesome.
Yeah, which was a great experience in itself. And then I had so that was like another like a connection of the dots. And then I had like a day or two with pretty much no wrist pain. So I was like, oh wow, this is it. And then I found the cure. And because of the first pain I resolved, the one from like the music thing, I thought, oh, it went away. That's it. So like this one went away in an hour, so this one probably is gonna took a day or something. And I was wrong because after like 2 days, it came back slowly, and I thought I just had another book here or another,
Sure.
quick realization. And it came back, and again, I didn't know what it was and like how, but I had it in the back of my mind that it was like I got like a revelation that it's this thing. And so wait, I've been talking a lot.
It's all right. Take your time.
So the pain kind of came back just a few days later, and I didn't know what to do about it. And I I was skeptical of what it was or what it wasn't, and I had in the back of my mind that it was a TMS thing. But I thought that you just cure it in a few days or something like that. So it might not be it if it didn't get cured in a day or two. And
Right.
then that's the doubt that kind of sprung it back into existence.
Yep.
And that persisted for like another year. And I got back to capoeira training. I just didn't put any weight on my hands. I tried, like I used my left hand. By the way, the same pain jumped over to my other wrist. So and then I had like pain in this wrist, and it just, yeah, it was relentless. And it was really hard for me to realize, like kind of accept that maybe it's gonna stay forever. And even though I thought I cured it for a second, that didn't work as well. So it's never going to happen. And it's really hard when you do capoeira not to put weight on your hands because it's a bunch of cartwheels and flips and all kinds of yeah. So it's like 50% of the whole thing. And so I kept seeing that every time I went to a training session. I kept confronting it, and it was really depressing. And and then I moved to another city, and I decided I'm gonna finish this once and for all with the pain. And I started reading. There's a great doctor. His name is Nir Brosh, Nir Nir. Anyways, he has all kinds of lectures. I think most of them are in Hebrew about TMS,
Okay.
and he wrote a great, very detailed, very updated on the research book about TMS. He has a clinic here, and I read his book for like 2 months, like every morning. For 15 minutes, I read the book. This is when I started to get to know your videos. And if I wasn't reading the book, then I was watching one of your like 10, 15-minute videos and just consuming whatever I could.
Awesome.
And he recommended journaling in the beginning to be on top of your emotions, like not to let all kinds of emotions get suppressed or repressed because I'm not aware of them. So every night I would uh, sit down before I went to bed. I would take like 10, 15 minutes and I would write the three main feelings that I had today. So it could be I was angry today because this, and that, and where I felt it in my body. I felt it in my, I don't know, my chest, in my, I had some sort of neck pain or shoulder, I don't know, whatever. And I felt excited because I met this cool person and now we're gonna, I don't know.
I got you.
And I would do that. So, and then reminders during the day that I'm okay and I have TMS. I had like on top of my computer, I had like a sticky note uh, with with like an explanation of what TMS is and like it's okay, don't be afraid. Uh, and I would read that like twice a day when I would pass by my computer in my room. And slowly but surely, my wrist pain just started going away. It would come back when I had like some sort of seminar of capoeira where we had these teachers from Brazil coming and teaching. It was a big event and it was a whole thing. And I didn't want to feel pain during those times because I wanted to be, ready to be part of everything. And I didn't want to be limited to my abilities. So, um, so it would come back a bit when I had these like big events or seminars, but I kept reminding myself, no, it's okay. It's just TMS. There's nothing to worry about. And each time I had these seminars, the pain that would come back was smaller and smaller. And I recognized that, and I was really glad to recognize it because it could be like very demotivating every time something's happening. But if you recognize um, those little times that you win, that you
Sure.
um, then then your story seems complete, and it starts yeah. And then so for the past, this was like 2.5 months ago, where I pretty much cured myself totally of this wrist pain, and I've not been having it at all. And I've been training four times a week and doing handstands, doing push-ups, getting stronger, um, doing whatever I want. I'm not afraid of landing on my hands if I fall. Like I used to fall and had this terrible pain because I always thought I was broken.
And
Um,
and you're still playing a lot of guitar too, right?
yeah, I've say playing a lot of guitar. I'm performing once a week. Um, Yeah.
That's
So
fantastic. So basically back to life for a couple of months now, 2.5 months. Um,
yeah,
yeah, it sounds like your brain finally bought the message that your body is young and healthy and strong.
yeah. And it was I think I kind of felt like I had a good experience with TMS. First of all, because I'm young. Um, so I'm glad that I found this out at a younger age. And I'm still like pursuing my dream of being in this martial art and music. Um, I think the first time was a very short one, and then the second time was a much more gradual 2 or 3 month process of healing, or you don't like to use the word healing.
Well, that's
Um,
okay. I mean, I don't object to it, but healing is a little bit misleading to believe that there was something actually wrong that needed to heal. I think this is more of a teaching process where we're teaching the brain that actually my wrist is fine. We're teaching the brain so that the brain stops warning us every time we use the wrist in that way. So it's just
yeah,
terminology, but a lot of people still call it healing, and that's fine.
yeah. Um, so I felt like, and also kind of in the for helping others, because I try to like every time I hear someone has some sort of pain, I immediately like, oh wait, what pain do you have? How long do you want? This is my number. You can take it and you can call me. And I have this kind of like a long talk on the phone.
Yeah,
And so because I got to experience this like book cure thing, and then the slow process of going through everything, trying and failing and trying and failing, and then eventually beating it. Uh, it got yeah, like I got to experience a good portion of this kind of of
that's
an
awesome.
understanding of it.
Okay. So a question I do like to ask is if somebody's watching this video and they're struggling, whether they're young like you or much older. Well, first of all, I don't believe age matters because I've had people in their 70s and 80s ending TMS. So age is not a factor. Um, and I also don't believe the amount of time somebody's been in pain matters too much because the brain can still learn to turn it off with the right information, the right clarity, the right confidence, the right reminders. Because you had to remind yourself when the pain came back, you're like, oh no, what if it's, and you went through the whole doubt. And well, maybe it's not TMS because TMS is supposed to get fixed like it did, the last time with the guitar. And you're like, what do you mean it came back? And now it takes longer and then it comes back. And the good news is you stuck with it and you said, this is the only thing that makes sense. And by sticking with it and continuing the same messages, your brain eventually learned that there was nothing wrong with your wrists. And it took longer the second time. And some of that had to do with, a little bit of doubt. Because even though you went through that whole guitar experience, you were still going, yeah, but this wrist thing, that's a push-up problem,
Mhm.
right? So there was no clarity there. You didn't even connect the dots to TMS until later. Um, so
I
there's
think there was much more conditioning that I had during the years for the wrist pain.
for sure.
There was a lot more time. Yeah,
Yeah, just the belief system was every time I do a push-up or bend my hand or try to do a handstand or a cartwheel, whatever, it always hurts. So I had to overcome that level of conditioning, expectation, and underneath that is fear that I'm going to hurt myself. Right. So brilliant. Anything you'd want to share with somebody who's kind of watching this, and what would you tell somebody as far as I don't know, what worked best for you or what I don't know, just in general. If somebody's watching and they're on this journey and maybe they're a little bit frustrated because they didn't get the quick cure like you did. And even 2.5 months is a quick response.
yeah.
compared to some people, because it took me, I knew about Dr. Sarno for 12 years.
Wow.
And I still had pain come and go, and then it would stay. And then I got all crooked and everything else. But that's because I didn't know the things that are readily available now in the TMS education space, in the mind body education space. I spent most of that time, even though I knew about Sarno, I was still scared of it. I was still avoiding movements and body positions. I was still talking about it. I was complaining about it. I was avoiding everything. Like I did everything wrong during that 12 years. So for anybody who just heard that and said, 12 years, no, it didn't take me 12 years after hearing about Sarno to recover. It probably, I recovered in the last few months. I did everything wrong up until that point.
Yeah.
So don't listen to a 12-year recovery story and think, oh my goodness, that's going to happen to me. No, because I share, Yotam shares, other people are sharing the pathway. And if you can get some things dialed in, you can have a quick recovery. And so if you're years into it, don't let this frustrate you. Because some people are like, oh man, that guy got better in a couple of months. I've been doing this for years. Okay. Well, make a shift and start to be more confident in this diagnosis, in this actual cause for the symptoms. Consistent messages of safety, consistent clarity. Because if one day you're like, I think it's really my wrist, and then the next day you're saying, no, this is TMS. Then the next day you're like, I think it's my wrist. Your brain's not going to turn off the pain. We need to make a decision and stick with it that this is what's going on. And as you did more and your brain says, oh, that hurt a little bit, your ability to remain calm and certain that it was actually still TMS is why when it came back, it was less intense and it probably stuck around shorter periods of time. And with repetition and consistency, your brain eventually said, all right, the wrist is fine. That's my interpretation. So anything you want to add to that or?
Yes, I would love to. I was okay. So I think one of the things that made my brain understand was when I realized that unless I was going to give it a lot of attention in terms of like the dedication to healing to get better. Um, okay, because TMS is so tricky, it loves to fool you. It takes every opportunity it can to fool you and to make you think, oh, maybe this is part of, you have something wrong with your body. Maybe it's this. Or yesterday you put some weight on your hand, something this. It's very tricky. So you have to be very dedicated to teaching yourself and your brain that you're okay. And the way I did it was just reading every day 15 minutes of some sort of TMS related content and journaling a bit, but that's not very necessarily that's not necessary, but it helps. Um, Obviously, not to give up because many times along the way, people kind of like told me, even my therapist who didn't know better, didn't know too much, who knew about Dr. Sarno, didn't know too much about TMS or exactly how it works or how what's the probability that I have it. She told me maybe it's best that you start to accept that you might live with this for the rest of your life, and the sooner you let go of this expectation that you'll heal, or then the sooner you'll be able to accept and live free without you know and stop unnecessary suffering from wanting this to heal to get better. But
That
I knew
that's counterintuitive though. You're saying that you got better when you let go of the desperation to heal.
no, that's
Or
what
you-
she asked. This is what she advised me to do. I'm sorry, maybe I was a bit
All right,
all over the place.
let me understand that. Go ahead.
So I was I really wanted to heal, or really wanted to get better, and I didn't want to give up. And my therapist told me, as will other people, I assume, along the way, people many times tell you, I think it's time to maybe let go of this, um, of trying to heal this. Maybe it will stay forever. And it's kind of tempting, and kind of it seems kind of logical, because it's very tricky to heal TMS. So it's supposedly tricky, right? But um, it's kind of straightforward, but it's along the way there's lots of parts where you do it wrong. And I'm telling people that maybe are listening that don't give up. And if you know and understand it's TMS, then you can get rid of it, and don't accept living with it for the rest of your life. You can heal it. You have to dedicate time during the day, um, to educate yourself about it, but it can go away. And if it's TMS, it can go away. Don't sell yourself short by
Yeah.
maybe
All right.
accepting that. Yeah.
I thought you were going the other way, which was, give up hope of getting better, and then that's when it gets better, which is not really true.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah. So no.
yeah, a lot of people talk about acceptance in this mind body recovery process, and I talk about it. Acceptance doesn't mean I'm resigned to have this pain forever. Acceptance just means, okay, it hurts today. That's what it is. I don't have to fight it because that's what the reality is. That's the difference between acceptance and like resignation. Resignation says this is going to be forever. Nope, I don't believe that at all. I'm glad we clarified that. So, anything else you'd like to share with people watching? I mean, I'm really thrilled for you. You can now go on and be this rock star and musician and what's it called? Capoeira expert and possibly teacher and performer and all that cool stuff. Um, Anything else you want to share?
Um, no, I think just don't give up, and do the work, and re-educate yourself, and the results just come. The results come. You have to, it's kind of like you work and you get your salary after a month or two. Uh, but it will come, if hopefully you get your salary. But the salary comes, and the results come after uh, repetitive work. So
It's
yeah,
consistency, sticking with it.
definitely.
The guitar is actually an interesting analogy to learning anything, right? Because I say this is a teaching exercise. Sometimes it takes a while and practice and consistency to learn something. And I've often said it's like learning a musical instrument. Because people are like, well, I'm Dan, I'm doing this and I'm not getting better. I must be doing something wrong. I'm like, you just picked up the guitar, you took 2 lessons, and you expect to play like a virtuoso? No, this stuff takes time to learn, implement. You try things, it doesn't work, you adjust, you do more. And so yeah, I think
Trusting the process. Yeah, that's, you have to trust it. Otherwise, if you do anything other than trust the process, then you're going
slowing
in the wrong
down.
direction.
Yeah, anytime you go, oh, well, maybe it's not TMS. Maybe it really is an injury. It certainly feels like an injury. It hurts. I know, but it's still created by the brain perceiving danger. So, all right, listen, I really appreciate you. I think you did a great job sharing your story. I'm thrilled for you. I If you have any social media where we can see your music, feel free to send that to me privately. Or maybe even share it, with us here if you like, if you're interested, or maybe you're like, well, not yet. You mentioned you recorded a single, like a song of yours. So if you want to share that, or any way for people to get in touch with you, you're welcome to do that here or privately afterwards.
All right. Yeah, I'll just say right now, my name is Yotam Shamron. It's Yotam. Shomron. If you
S-H-O.
wanna Shomron,
Okay.
and send me a message on Instagram if you want to talk about TMS or something related to, I don't know, music or something. But I'd love to help people out, maybe over a phone call or anything. Anyways, and thank you so much, Dan, for everything you do, and it really helped me along the way,
Awesome.
and many others.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your story. And I guess stay in touch. If I can ever do
Yeah,
anything for you, you let me know.
thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Bye. Have a
Right.
good day.